Please rise in body or spirit as you are able as we sing our gathering hymn number 38, Morning is Broken.
Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem. I am Gloria Holland, and as part of the homilist storyteller team, I'm really excited to be presenting the message today. Reverend Rick Davis will return in September, and I think we're all pretty excited about that. Sarah Pickett is joining us today as your celebrant. Unitarian Universalists, or UUs as we like to call ourselves, provide a home for seekers. and invite a community of individuals on a personal spiritual journey that requires no devotion to a doctrine or loyalty to a creed. We are here to ask questions, to explore the deeper meanings of our existence, and to encourage the spiritual journeys of others. Whether you've been a UU for a lifetime, or if this is your first or second time here, welcome. You are all welcome. Please stay a bit after the service to enjoy refreshments and conversation in the fellowship hall. Thank you for coming on this very, very hot day. It's wonderful to see you.
In the first glimmers of morning, the world begins to take shape. First vague outlines, patterns of light and dark, then colors, dun branches of trees and withered winter grass. The brightening sky bathes a familiar landscape with a glow as it sleepily reveals itself. Blessed morning. Oh, to have another day, to wake from whatever night thoughts dwell within, to rise and have the world unfold before us, where the possible unwinds into the actual, where dreams await their fulfilling, where we meet once to live into the hope that gathers us. Blessed morning. Mark Ward. May we feel blessed this morning as we say our affirmation together. Love is our doctrine. Compassion is our way. Here we seek to create a joyful home for free religious exploration. Build a community of caring fellowship, nurture the hopes, and serve the needs of our world. was told that in, I believe, Corvallis or Eugene, they have the tradition of taking the light from the Joys and Concerns lights and lighting their chalice. And I'm preparing for Gloria to essentially do the same. Traditionally, here at UUCS, we light 3 chalices every Sunday. The first is for us, family, members, friends of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem. The second chalice we light for our Unitarian partner church in Shumenfalva, Transylvania, Romania. And I hope you recently saw the pictures of the summer camps that the children are enjoying. And the third we light for our children and youth, both in religious exploration and in the world at large. With faith to face our challenges, with love that casts out fear, with hope to trust tomorrow, we accept this day as the gift it is, a reason for rejoicing. Gary Kowalski. Please join me in singing The Flame into Life.
Rise up.
We generally think that compassion occurs when we see someone suffering and take action to ease that suffering. But how many of us practice self-compassion? May we have faith in our ability to recognize our missteps, our hurtful words, our lack of good judgment at times. And may we also recognize our ability to be kind to ourselves, to actively forgive our errors in judgment, and to let self-compassion serve as a guide in our lives. And may we awake each day with gratitude in our hearts for all that we know is positive and good in our lives. May self-compassion and gratitude be the candle that lights your way through this journey.
Good morning. My name is Joan Stembridge, and I am your Lifelines lay minister today. And we have some time when we're going to be lighting candles and get together. And we have a number of joys and a concern written in today's book. Our first candle is by Rob Schiff, and it is a concern. My 13-year-old granddaughter, Celeste, has been diagnosed with lymphoma and is undergoing chemotherapy. Please send her healing thoughts. The next two are joys from Leslie and Bob Zeigen. Baby Eloda, 4 months old, had 2 stents put in her heart 2 days old, and now she is 13 pounds. This is a great joy. And the next from Leslie and Bob Zeigen is a card from Nathan to Leslie and Bob and to the congregation. And Nathan is the person that Leslie has asked our congregation to pray for a good job. And he writes, Mr. and Mrs. Zeigen, you are utterly the best. utterly the best, actually. Thank you for years of love and support. All your wonderful visits will be missed, and I am truly grateful for everything. Please send my regards to the congregation. I am so blessed. Thank you, Nathan. And our last candle is for all the joys and concerns that are in our hearts but have not been written or spoken. And from the website, you can see how to connect with us, and please look at that. You can either call the church or you can write in the book. And we are now at the point where we're talking about who we are, and Lifeline's lay ministers are fellow members who extend Reverend Rick's ministry to members and friends of the congregation who are experiencing illness, loss, or any type of personal or family crisis. And our last slide is to join us today if you would like to come and have a group time with Compassionate Connections. Come up to the front and we will move to Rick's office and have a time of private support. And that also there will be a table in the Hanneman Hall if you wish to just get to know a little more about Lifeline's lay ministers. Thank you very much.
I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will burn its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will burn its wings. I know this rose will open.
There is the feeling that we live at a time of unusual insecurity. In the past 100 years or so, many long-established traditions have broken down. Traditions of family, social life, and religious belief. As the years go by, there seem to be fewer and fewer rocks to which we can hold, fewer things which we can regard as absolutely right and true and fixed for all time. To some, this is a welcome release from the restraints of moral, social, and spiritual dogma. To others, it is a dangerous and terrifying breach with reason and sanity, tending to plunge human life into hopeless chaos. To most, perhaps, the immediate sense of release has given a brief exhilaration, to be followed by the deepest anxiety. For all is relative. If life is a torrent without form or goal, in whose flood absolutely nothing save change itself can last, it seems to be something in which there is no future and thus no hope. Human beings appear to be happy just as long as they have a future to which they can look forward, whether it be a good time tomorrow or an everlasting life beyond the grave. For various reasons, more and more people find it hard to believe in the latter. As a matter of fact, our age is no more insecure than any other. Poverty, disease, war, change, and death are nothing new. In the best of times, security has never been more than temporary and apparent. But it has been possible to make the insecurity of human life supportable by belief in unchanging things beyond the reach of calamity, in God in man's immortal soul, and the government of the universe by eternal laws of right. Today, such convictions are rare, even in religious circles. There is no level of society. There must even be a few individuals, toughened by modern education, where there is not some trace of the leaven of doubt.
Thank you, Sarah. It was great. In the summer of 1970, a good friend asked if I'd be interested in working for a week as an advisor for a group of middle school girls at the Silver Creek Falls Y Camp. Well, I knew nothing about Y Camp or advising or middle school girls. So I said, sure, I'd love to. I had graduated from the University of Oregon with a degree in sociology and spent most of the year living in San Francisco, worked at odd jobs, and was a newlywed. I'd returned to the Willamette Valley and had absolutely no plans, no direction. So when the opportunity presented itself for me to spend a week engaging in a new adventure at a Y camp, I thought, well, it can't hurt. So off I went. There were 7 or 8 girls, all about 13 years old, assigned to my cabin. My job was to stay in the cabin with them, make sure they got some sleep. You're right. Get them to their various camp activities and help patch up any problems that might arise. Now, one might think that spending a week with 8 13-year-old girls would drive any normal person completely bonkers, but I discovered that I loved them. These girls were curious, sensitive, sassy, self-indulgent, enthusiastic, and smart. We had a blast. Upon my return home to my new spouse, I enthusiastically told him that I thought I had found a profession, since social work didn't seem to be a good fit for me. I returned to school, this time to Oregon College of Education, now Western Oregon University, and I completed a course of studies and was hired to teach 7th grade English social studies at Whitaker Junior High in Kaiser. Who would have thought that one random week at a Y camp could change the direction of a person's life? That first year at Whitaker, about 1972, was pretty horrible. The school was at the end of a 3-year experiment in education, which from my view was a complete disaster. The kids were actually running wild in the halls all day long. And I was given an assignment I was not qualified for. I started the year with no supplies, no curriculum guidelines, and very little support. My dream of saving the world from itself was pretty shortly dashed, and I cried a lot. I was lost, confused, and rather terrified. I was completely surprised when at the end of the year, I was rehired. It actually took quite a few years for me to find the confidence to believe in myself as a qualified teacher. Although I learned how to write creative lesson plans, I struggled with classroom management. And while I became an integral part of the 8th grade English social studies team and generally received good evaluations, I was always questioning my abilities and my faith in myself, often asking the question, what right did I have to even be there? In time, I would take a sabbatical and earn a master's degree. At that year's end, with 15 years of teaching junior high behind me, I was moved to McKay High School and assigned to teach English. High school proved to be a completely new challenge for me. The kids were bigger, older, and generally more focused. Gone were the days of students hurling spitwads across the room and kicking each other under the desk all day long. That's middle school for you. But again, I was, as another teacher put it, woefully unprepared to teach at the high school level. Novels like The Great Gatsby and Huckleberry Finn were part of the curriculum, and I hadn't read those books since high school, if I'd actually ever read them at all. I had a lot of catching up to do. While I struggled that first year to stay a day ahead of the kids, in years to come, I spent every holiday and summer vacation reading, writing lesson plans, and creating hands-on activities. People began describing me as energetic, enthusiastic, and creative. My evaluations continued to be positive, and my classroom management improved tremendously. But still, I questioned. I had doubts about my abilities. I was pretty sure I wasn't doing enough. And I didn't know if the kids were actually really learning anything. More and more, I secretly felt like a fraud. And the feeling just got stronger and stronger with every day. At one point, and I'd been in the classroom for about 17 years, I began to have a reoccurring and very overwhelming fantasy that I would be discovered, found out, confronted, and fired. I began to believe that I hadn't really earned my degrees, that I'd only gotten the good grades because the professors liked me. In my fantasy, I saw myself as a fraud, an imposter, a criminal, really, who didn't deserve any of the positive notes in my evaluation or any of the public accolades I'd been receiving. And I certainly didn't deserve the honor of standing before these young people pretending to be an educator. If people only knew the truth. I remember clearly one particular day, standing in front of my students, watching them work quietly, and very strongly believing that at any minute, my administrative team would enter my room, tell me that there had been an unfortunate hiring error, that they'd looked into my grades and my work, and they had found that it had all been a big mistake. They would ask me to gather my things, they would escort me out the front door, and tell me to never come back. True story. Somehow I got through that day and returned the next, and of course, none of my very peculiar fantasy became a reality. But in recent years, the phenomenon called the imposter syndrome has come to light, and I can tell you that it is very, very real. I should point out that people who have lived with the overwhelming sense of being a fraud, an imposter, are not suffering from mental illness. The imposter syndrome is felt by many, many people, mostly women, who are very highly successful, but who face constant self-doubt out of a yearning for perfection. Some who have self-described suffering from occasional feelings of being an imposter include the poet Maya Angelou, actor Tom Hanks, First Lady Michelle Obama, and Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. Looking back, I recognize that I was suffering from a crisis of faith. In this case, I couldn't find the faith in myself to accept that I belonged right where I was in that moment. Now, I find faith to be an intriguing concept. Most often, when the word faith is used, it seems to be connected with a Christian concept of God or a higher power. We've all heard the expression, she's a person of faith, meaning she's a believer in God. Well, I actually went online in search of a definition of the word faith and found that almost all definitions reference a belief in a Christian God. According to Jim Heffel, who grew up in Portland and is pastor for the Church of God, having served in the ministry for around 50 years, faith, says Heffel, is used of belief with the predominant idea of trust or confidence, whether in God or in Christ, springing from faith in the same. Faith means trust, confidence, assurance, and belief. He goes on to say, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence or conviction of things not seen. Bless you. So faith, and that's the end of that quote, so faith, trust, and confidence, it would seem, are simply part of the foundation of the Christian belief in an unseen God. But according to definitions from Oxford Languages, faith is complete trust in someone or something. Some sources claim that faith means having trust in something for which there is no proof. So, what kinds of things might we have faith or trust in? Turns out, that's a darn good question when you start to think about it. It took a bit for me to come up with some answers. As I was writing this, I was sitting at my kitchen table on a mildly sunny day in May, with my back to the window that looked out over our deck on which sat the flowers I had just planted. I turned, and seeing the flowers, I realized that in that moment, I had faith that these flowers, along with the vegetables that Alan had planted, would grow large, produce beautiful flowers and delicious veggies that we would all enjoy in August. I had no proof, but I did have faith. And I have faith in my friendships. Over the years, I have cultivated several friendships that I simply know will last a lifetime. I'm good friends with a woman I met when I was 5 years old, and although we don't see eye to eye on religion or politics, I have faith that she and I will remain friends till the end. Such is the case with many of my friends. I have faith that the world will go on. It will change. It will look different for my grandchildren. But the sun will come up, the moon will glow bright at night, and the sand beside the oceans will still feel good under our feet. I have faith that certain things will behave with a degree of predictability. When water gets cold enough, it will freeze, or it will boil at a certain temperature. When we put helium into a balloon, that balloon will rise, and sometimes if it gets away from us, it will rise up into the sky and completely disappear. But then the truth is, we have our doubts. There was a time not that long ago when we had faith in our institutions, our government, our elections, our medicine, our food supply, and our schools. But today, with contention dominating the political sphere, with media spewing fear and trauma on the airwaves, with gun violence and book banning, and the homeless and the ongoing strife in Latin America causing a humanitarian crisis at the border, it's easy to doubt that things will ever improve. Unfortunately, there are many today who have forsaken their faith in any of our institutions and actually live in a constant state of fear and trauma. They doubt that any good could ever come from any of the common sense laws or cultural norms that we used to rely on. They are consumed with doubt. And then there are those who are consumed with faith, whether it's faith in a political party, in science, in money, stature, and privilege, or in God. Some folks seem to believe without a smidgen of a doubt that what they believe to be the truth is absolute. There is no doubt whatsoever in their thinking. None. While I was teaching, I had the opportunity to teach a unit on The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. While this story gives us many messages about the American dream, lifestyles of the rich and famous, and unrequited love, it also offers a good lesson in faith. In the novel, Jay Gatsby engages in a love affair with a very rich girl named Daisy Fay. Soon after, Gatsby leaves for World War I, and Daisy moves on with her life, marrying a very rich man named Tom Buchanan. When Gatsby returns from the war and learns that Daisy has married and moved to Long Island, New York, he devises a plan to gain Daisy's attention and love. Now, James Gatz grew up poor on a farm in South Dakota. As Jay Gatsby, he acquires a bundle of money through illicit bootlegging activities and buys an enormous mansion across the bay from Daisy's equally enormous mansion, purchased with Tom Buchanan's old money. Gatsby believes without any doubt that if he is rich enough, popular enough, charming enough, Daisy will forsake her husband and family to be forever with the real love of her life, Gatsby. He has complete faith in a future that exists only in his mind. And when tragedy strikes and Gatsby takes the blame for Daisy's reckless actions, Gatsby is convinced that Daisy will come to him. The ending here is tragic, with the imposter Gatsby losing everything, even his life. But he dies with his faith intact, a faith that in the end destroys him. Many of us here today, including myself, have experienced a time when we doubted the existence of God, have been told to not doubt, to not question, but to simply have faith. Our great Gatsby provides a perfect illustration of what can happen when one relies completely on faith and will not allow doubt to enter into one's thinking. The Reverend Judy Wells, from a sermon given at the First Unitarian Society of Brooklyn, offers this. When you have faith in something, you put the whole meaning of your life into it. You base all your actions on it. You have posited the meaning of your life in that faith. If you are wrong, then the very meaning of your life is threatened. End of quote. finding the courage to question our faith in God or science or institutions or the future of our planet can be bone-cold chilling. So the question is, what really is the relationship between faith and doubt? Is it possible to embrace both? Some might say it's impossible to have faith in anything, even science, because everything changes. Nothing remains constant. So having faith is impossible. Others might say that we must cling to faith for our very salvation, and doubt is not an option. If we have faith in a higher power, is there any room for doubt? If we have faith in the constancy of the seasons or in relationships or in the kindness of humanity, will doubt threaten the way we live in this world? At the end of each of our services, we say the words, "May we have faith in the Spirit of life." Is there any room for doubting our faith in the Spirit of life? Speaking not just of faith in a higher power, but rather of faith in general, author and amateur theologian Stephen D. Morrison states, "Faith includes doubt, and doubt confirms faith. Faith and doubt, therefore, are not mutually exclusive of one another, but are mutually inclusive." Perhaps the answer to the faith versus doubt dilemma can be found in what we choose to have faith in. That young teacher who so many years ago became overwhelmed with doubt and fear that her teaching career would abruptly end when the truth came out, had lost faith in herself as a competent professional and chose really to put doubt at the forefront of her thinking. The fictional Jay Gadsby lost his life when he became consumed with a faith in something that never really existed except in his mind. Perhaps it's balance we must look to. We may have faith in a higher power, faith in humanity, faith in our friendships, or faith in ourselves. But we may also have our doubts, healthy doubts, honest, courageous doubts. Invite your doubts in. Listen to them. Let them sit a while. Play with them. And when the time comes, send your doubts on their way as you grow in your faith, whatever that might be. Thank you. And now, with a compassionate heart, please settle into a comfortable posture and gentle breathing as we reflect on the balance between our thoughts on faith and our struggle with doubt. May we grant ourselves forgiveness and open our hearts and minds to the courage of acceptance. Let us remember that faith, trust, and confidence give our lives meaning, while doubt brings wisdom. In the words of Lillian Smith, faith and doubt are both needed, not as antagonists, but working side by side to take us around the unknown curve. Blessed be.
We support UUCS through our time, our presence, our pledges, our connections. And weekly, we support the Salem community through donations to the Marion Polk Food Share. Donations may be placed in the little red wagon, which is coming up in front of the sanctuary. Also monthly, we have a Share the Plate recipient. And this month, for August, we are supporting the Planned Parenthood Columbia Willamette, which is an affiliate of Planned Parenthood Federation of America, or PPFA. While Planned Parenthood as a national movement began in 1916, PPCW was founded in 1963 as Planned Parenthood Association of Portland. PPCW is committed to leading other Planned Parenthood affiliates and family planning providers in reproductive health care technology. From Hillary Clinton, there is one lesson from the past, in particular, that we cannot afford to ignore. You cannot make progress on gender equality or broader human development without safeguarding women's reproductive health and rights. To support this organization and others, if you are here, you may place donations in offertory bags, which are about to be passed. Otherwise, you may go on the website to donate. Thank you so much for your support, both to UUCS as well as the wider world of Salem. Thank you, Ezra. I think we get to see you one more time. Is that right? Before you're off to college. Bigger and greater things. That'll be exciting. Thank you. Absolutely. So next Sunday, we get to hear from another homilist, Marcia, on the recent study and reflection that has given her new awareness of how her spiritual life has changed since her younger days. So that'll be interesting to hear. And now you don't get to hear me talk about connections groups. Do you know why? Because Lisa is going to come talk about connections groups.
Good morning. Are you guys as hot and sweaty as I am? My name is Lisa Lermo, and I'm a connections group facilitator, and I've been doing it for 5 or 6 years. Sarah knows, because we started at the same time. And I'd like to tell you just a little bit about connections groups and about our chalice circles, and remind you to sign up. So, my hand's so sweaty from nervousness and heat that I'm like sliding on my phone here. Connection groups and chalice circles are all about talking and listening to each other and honoring our own truths. In both kinds of groups, we start with a chalice lighting, then a brief check-in, and then we discuss a different topic each month. The types of topics are how the two kinds of groups are different. Connections group topics include heritage, renewal, transformation, and more. Chalice circle topics include artificial intelligence, education, discrimination, and more. One of the many beautiful things about these groups, and I love these groups, is how we get to know ourselves and each other through discussing these topics. These discussions are built on curiosity and deep respect for each other. Listening to each other's stories, life experiences, reasons for how we feel and believe and behave the way we do, that's a gift that we give to each other. It's like opening a present when you learn how someone else sees something so similarly or so differently than you do. It reminds us all that we're all connected in a circle of humanity. Did you get that? Connected circle? Get it? Connection groups? Yeah, it's my own little inside joke. These groups are also about sharing snacks, practicing being good listeners, and simply enjoying each other's company and friendship. So don't forget to sign up. The slide tells you right now that the last day to sign up is next Sunday, August 20th. And so now we're going to go to a new slide, and I'm going to tell you about one particular group. And in this particular connections group, I'm going to introduce everyone. They're going to start walking up here. And as they walk up, I'm going to keep talking, and they're just going to kind of line up right here, and I'm going to give you all their names. So one particular connections group took it upon themselves, ourselves, to create a project. And the way I describe this group is that they are all, just come on up, come all the way up. No, come up here. There. They're going to do some little dance steps for you. No, I'm just kidding. We didn't get a chance to rehearse this, as you can see. We took it upon ourselves, and they took it upon themselves, the members in the group, to create a project. And this is unusual for a connections group. We don't usually do projects. We usually meet and discuss things. The way I describe this group to Rick is that they're all just trying to be good people, and that encourages me to be good too. So I'm going to list the names of the people in our group, and they're not all present today because it's 1 million degrees, and some of them are probably at home sweating instead of being here sweating. But I want you to hear their names because I want you to know who is putting this project together. So Annie Belanger, Kelly Brown, and if you're here, go like this. Okay, so let me try it again. Kelly Brown, Deborah Emeny, Julie Frazier, Gloria Holland, who is our wonderful homilist, Ed Kramer, Robin Lamont, Marilyn Lopnow, Kathleen McKinney, Carrie Lynn Patterson. So I'm going to let these guys sit down now, and two of them are going to go get some special treat for you, but I'm not going to make them stand up here the whole time because I decided it's just too hot. The idea for this group project is something new that we haven't done before, and as far as I know, this makes us good troublemakers. So these people just followed their hearts. During our discussion 1 month on the topic of resistance, our connections group discovered a shared resistance to book banning. Suddenly, we found ourselves getting the board's blessing to create a banned book library. Did you know that there are over 800 books banned just in Florida? Many of these are the books that we grew up with, the books that Gloria taught in her classes and are not allowed to be taught in many states now. They're the books that we read in high school and college, the books that helped open our eyes, our minds, and our hearts. While there's been serious debate about book banning here in Oregon, the latest ever-changing law and news is that no books have been banned here yet. Meanwhile, they're being banned in other states, school libraries, school curriculums, classes, public libraries, and more. We hope the banned book library that we're presenting to you today will represent our belief that we are all free to read whatever we choose, and will continue to grow and learn as we read. So, welcome to our grand opening. Ta-da! The reveal. So this is our... So, like I said, we didn't have a chance to rehearse, so... Starting today, the banned book library will be open for you to check out books and to donate banned books to the bookshelf. To donate a book, first do a Google search just to be sure it's been banned somewhere in America. Otherwise, maybe it will eventually. And then the slide that's up there right now just tells you the steps. Just number one, you'll find at the banned book library bookcase this beauty right here that was painted by our own, donated and painted, and all of the signs put up, and the paperwork, the sign-up sheets, everything by our group. You'll find this in the fellowship hall. Borrow books using the sign-up sheet, which will be with it. Donate books that you know have been banned anywhere in America. Read to enjoy, learn, and grow, and repeat. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. And Lisa, if anyone has any questions, should they contact you? Yes, okay. You heard her. I got her to say yes. This is great. All right. So for news of the community, if you're not getting the newsletter or the email blast on Friday, please check in with the office and sign up for those. There's a lot of things going on. Oh, did I mention connections groups? Okay, good. There are a couple other things I want to point out. One of them, so Family Promise is going to be here during this week. And in case you hadn't noticed on the weather, it's going to be kind of hot, potentially, this week. So UUCS does have some fans, and Lynn has or is getting the fans out of the attic and putting them in the blue room. However, the ask is, if you happen to have any extra fans that you'd be willing to donate, the Family Promise coordinators would really appreciate it. And if you do, bring them in, put your little name on it with a little, on masking tape or something, and just put them in the blue room, and they'll be used. Lynn Cardiff does ask that you come and get your fans at the end of the week. Otherwise, they may wind up in the attic. Who knows? So just so you know. The other thing we're going to do, and I did not really talk to John about this ahead of time, so I hope he's okay with this. I'm going to ask him to lead us in a happy birthday song for Steve Ovens. Steve's birthday is Tuesday, and he and Tracy are here today to help support the coffee service. And so Tracy said Steve would be in here in the audience. I don't see him, so maybe we have to sing really loud because he's out there in the building someplace doing good work. So, Steve? All right,
Let's sing happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
Thank you, Steve. Happy birthday coming up.
Thank you.
All right, now as Gloria takes the social justice lantern and lights it with a light from our chalice to remember the social justice service that we do weekly in our daily lives. There we go. And as we extinguish the chalices, these words from Oswald Chambers, Scottish theologian: always make a practice to stir your mind thoroughly, to think through what you have easily believed. Your position is not really yours until you make it yours through suffering and study.
And now, please rise in body or spirit as you are able as we sing our closing hymn, number 347, Gather the Spirit.
Please remain standing and join hands if you like while we say our closing words together. May faith in the Spirit of life, hope